I will take it that we don't have any questions or anything to work out in the moment between eye blinks and the micro nanoseconds between the coterie reconvening, rejoining, forming their kindred version of Voltron once more in the Pisketeers. There are facts, truths, and happenstances that have taken place for all of our members. And as is always, two things to keep in mind. Inaction is an action. And lack of communication will stymie, confound, and trip you up more so than any of the myriad of marplots taking place at the hands of the other individuals in the characters' worlds. With that preamble, with that warning, with that cautionary tale out of the way, I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'm not sure if you all have taken it to heart, but I will say it again, and just as much emotional heft as possible. Playing and sharing this time with you all means a great deal to me. Thank you all for being here. And with no questions, concerns, or any of the like, I'd like to say that this is officially In the Shadow of the White City, Season 6, Episode 4, Soaring Birds from Beyond. When we last left our coterie, their disparate strings and tactics and maneuvers on the chessboard that is their life have brought them once more back into the safety, sanctuary, and security of the Pisketeers. As fate would have it, they are all roughly arriving approximately at the same time. While out there in the world, there are fires, violence, and things far less kind in the offing. Where does that leave each of our members? Let's start in reverse alphabetical order.
Zach is moving towards the bar, or really anywhere where there's someone willing to give him a drink.
And does Zach have the Iron Gullet or Eat Food Merit?
No, I'm not talking people food, I'm talking...
People.
Yes.
Well, there are several ways that Zach can make themselves at home and crack open a cold one with the boys. There are donors who work in tandems, who work in pairs to mitigate the potential loss of life and limb that comes from giving themselves over to the undead. And they operate from the bar and through the various suites of the lower level of Pisketeers. They also engage in various...
That's what he's going for.
All right, so Zach makes himself scarce. Seth.
Seth is coming out of one of the back rooms in a new outfit because his previous one was drenched in boxer blood. Because he has not fed in such a fashion regularly for quite some time and made a mess of things. He is looking hale, hearty. His blush is still not on because they are in their part of the bar. But he is looking a little dejected.
All right. So he's looking like a typical 1940s, 1950s private eye, the private dick, the gumshoe, who is downturned at the mouth with a number of wrongs that he has witnessed in the course of his existence. And while that is taking place, moves on.
There we go.
Muzan actually wants to check in on the two hostages, guests of honor, that have been so graciously given to us by Mama Cass. Just check in, make sure they're, still alive, still here, haven't escaped.
Are there any precautions that Muzan takes before doing so?
A ski mask might scare them more, so he's just gonna... Actually, they've seen him, haven't they?
They have.
Then the heck with it, he's just going in.
He's gonna raw dog one more time into the breach. The lovely, vivacious, very vibrantly alive Kindred. Now, where is his hunger at?
If I'm looking at my sheet, it is 1.
Excellent. So the beast is not fully in his cage, as it never is, but it is not on the surface of him. He is no more bestial than his usual seeming. Many of the donors have grown accustomed to his visage, and some of the regulars consider him one of the, Fangoria or Phantasmagoria crowd who come in trying to scare everyone. And they kind of chalk it up because no one wants to admit that he really is a frightening thing to behold, as he makes his way purposefully through the crowd towards the last known location of their honored guests. And as Muzan takes off and Zag takes off, Seth making himself more visible, where does that leave Frost?
Going to change his shirt. Somebody shot someone and their blood splattered all over him, so...
It seems as if you guys need to maybe perhaps invest in a dry cleaning service or a laundry service, because you all have a penchant for ruining your ensembles. And as Frost makes his way back into the closet, searching for something more fitting of his current station, Dia, where does that leave you as you enter into the Piscateers with Dancer and realize all of the activity that's happening and the vamoosing of the coterie?
Well, the thing with Dia is she's very detail-oriented, so as everybody kind of scatters, she's going to notice blood and things, and then when they come back out, there is very much a brow height. She's giving them each a very pointed and searching look, and looks at Dan. Well, it seems they have gotten themselves into some sort of problem this evening. And then looks at Seth. You look quite healthy. That's new. Care to explain?
Baron, it seems that recent events and recent efforts on my part for helping others have left me a little more wanting in the feeding department. Our in-house and my own personal preferences aside, don't seem to be doing the job as well as they once did. And it seems I'm having to learn a new methodology for finding McDonald's, as they say.
McDonald's is terrible for you. Doba apparently is supposed to be better, but I wouldn't know. Anyway, I get some of what you're getting at. And I clearly hope that whatever messes were made were cleaned up. Still, though, does not tell me what it is you got up to before you arrived back here. While I have my own news, I am quite interested in what went on without me being here.
Well, the others can tell you more directly, but the stories relayed to me while I was taking care of my new problem. It seems that Decibel has publicly stated that his protection of the barony no longer applies. And some wastrels, malcontents, useless members of our people have decided that that means that it's open season on your domain. We put paid to the ones that showed up tonight, but I think this is going to be an ongoing problem that we may have to address.
Of course you did. He's angry at me, and that's fine. He can be angry. But he also made a fairly large mistake recently. And I plan on using that mistake. I'm tired of him assuming I am something I am not, and since he keeps accusing me of being this tactician, this person out to get him, then why not be that? I don't want to take him on directly, but if he pushes, I will not back down. And that brings me to my news. It seems that our dear Vu is no longer among the undead. Decibel, in his infinite ego, killed him at a meeting they were having of some sort. Felix is quite understandably heartbroken. Wishes revenge, or at least some manner of payback against the person that took their person, as it were. So I have made a deal with Felix. We will be working together. That leaves those, our domain and their domain. And if I can get Nicole to join up, maybe even a dear Baron from the other side of the tracks. I know I lost a lot there, and I will apologize as much as I need to for having done that. I did not wish to weaken him. I only sought help, and I hope he sees that. If I can get him to understand what is going on, he is also probably against Decibel, so that would mean we would have a much stronger force stand against anything he might try.
That's the whole north of Dalton. We've taken the Tremere's land and split it with our neighbor to the west and Felix and Vu's domain to the east. That encompasses almost the entire northern section of Dalton.
Which is true, I did offer as part of this whole situation help bolster Felix's strength while he is missing some of that himself. I don't quite all know of what everything that happened to leave him low or lay him low. Leave it to the Decibel to do what he did, but that's neither here nor there. All that matters is I have made an ally.
Strategically, I mean, Frost can look at a map just as well as I can. That puts us top heavy in the entire Thornton-Dalton conglomerate. We've taken where the Chantry lay. Go ahead.
Nicole is not a surety yet. We must speak with her. See which side she decides to take in this. She might side with Decibel out of safety due to his reputation.
We might side with the dragon just because the dragon is, in theory, Carbonera's favored one. Frost moves on. Looking at the map, do you agree with me with the Tremere's lands that we took by beating the Baron, with our friend to the west who helped us defeat that Baron and took some of those lands, with Felix and Vu's area just to the east and south of us? Do you think we can quickly get Nicole to get on board?
Possibly.
Is Muzan in this scene?
Muzan stepped away to see the girls.
And I thought I stepped in to see, change of clothes. Or am I there?
Zach, Muzan, and Frost had stepped away. It's literally Dia and Seth with Dancer sitting there.
Oh no, that's what it was. Dia waited until they all came back into the same room because Seth went to change his clothes and so did Frost. So when she sees them coming back out, that's when she would address everybody.
Well, that being the case, you and Seth are sitting there staring at each other. And we will slide right to Frost, because it doesn't take that long to change his shirt. Was there another reason why Frost decided to go and change, or just to change? Was there anything else that he was doing in the moments he was away?
Why do I feel like this is a trick question?
Open-ended questions often tend to do that, but it was literally an open-ended question. And was there anything else that Frost was doing while changing his clothes? Did he step away to attend to another matter, or was he literally just moving to change his blood-splattered garments?
Frost would, after getting dressed, he'd walk out of the room and think of reporting to Dia. So.
Okay. Well, Frost is considered there. And that leaves Muzan, who went through the Pisketeer's hood up, mending along his way with his beast acting as beasts do, with the opportunity to slip its own restraints. Finding the two sisters, though not of blood, but having grown up with one another, there are certain similarities of behaviors. While one is a little more vivacious than the other in terms of presenting themselves as a happy, well-adjusted individual, doesn't mean that that's the case for either of them. They are in a situation that is beyond all semblance of logical understanding. They are willing guests, willing kidnappees, because of understanding that there is an entire world of supernatural creatures that have existed in and around their lives nearly the entirety of it. So Muzan's visage popping towards the door with a soft wrapping upon it takes some getting used to, but they respond relatively well adjusted. They open the door, take a step back, and do their best to hide the natural revulsion that comes upon staring upon such a damaged, destroyed visage as his.
Just checking in. You two doing all right?
Yeah. We're fine. Go ahead, tell him. Hey, what do you know about ghosts? I know it's out of the clear blue, but with everything that's been happening, when I was a kid, my brother would, well, me and my brother would. Anyway, I thought ghosts might be a reason or an answer, but there seems like with you and your, are ghosts real?
Hell if I know. I lived in a crypt for the last 10 years and I never saw one. But hey, maybe I wasn't paying attention.
They look at each other. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we're fine.
You afraid they're gonna come back and haunt you?
Come back? No, we're fine. Yeah, no, we're good.
You're not fine. Something's bothering you, clearly. And you're terrible at hiding it.
We probably just smoked a little bit. That's all. But who's Nicole? Do you know a Nicole? Like, doesn't a Nicole come to this bar a lot?
Out of character, just refresh my memory. Nicole is one of the barons, correct?
Nicole was the Toreador Baron of Dalton, the head Toreador in all of Dalton, until she was gruesomely and grievously destroyed by a pack of Lupin in the area, hunting for a blonde bruja from Chicago. She's also Dia's sire.
There used to be a Nicole, from what I gathered. They are no longer among us.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, no, we're good.
Well, then I have a question. Why do you want to know?
Woman's intuition?
Woman's intuition that a very specifically named individual of some significance existed within this area. Look, I'm not stupid, okay? You know more than you should.
No one's saying you're stupid, but Faye chimes in at this point. Look, you're creepy, so we thought you might know. Stella had this thing going on with her eyes earlier, like just they blacked over. Like something out of like the Alien movies, like the eyes just went completely black, and she was talking to Nicole. She doesn't remember any of this, but I didn't smoke that much. She was literally sitting here talking to Nicole, talking about somebody named Concordia, and watch out for the zombie, or I forgot what she said exactly, but she said zombies anyway, and dragons. It was the stupidest things. It was zombies and dragons are never honest, or they're it was weird. And then she was back to herself, and Faye looks at Stella, who looks as if she's been caught with her hand in a cookie jar, and points to the table of food that has been demolished. I didn't eat any of that. She did. And there are munchies, and then there is the wreckage and ruin of eating your own weight. And that's what it looks like. The table is festooned and covered with the remnants of a meal, completely and totally polished off. There are roughly 9 different plates of varying fatty, greasy bar food that the Pisketeer serves. It's enough for a table full of people to have divested. And yet, Stella still is her small-framed college student.
Where the hell did you fit it all?
Thanks, Faye. You make fun of me eating all the time, and then you do that. And no, I know what you're thinking. She didn't binge and purge. She just needed the energy. Like, she just consumed enough to make up for all of the calories that she clearly burned doing whatever she was doing and talking to whoever she was talking to. And you say Nicole is dead, and you say there's no such thing as ghosts, and you know what? Fuck this. I'm gonna go smoke another blunt. And she storms off.
Yeah, I had a feeling that's how she would handle something like that. Now you. And Muzan points to Stella. To answer a few questions that might be on your mind, Dia is Concordia. Concordia is her full name. If you don't remember who she is, she's the nice lady who runs this place and took you all in. As for the rest of that shit, well, I know the Samedi are part of, you don't need to know that part. Point is, Samedi is part of a organization of, I guess you could call them necromancers. I haven't seen them work their shit, so I don't know how much of that is true, but could be related to what you're experiencing now. And as for dragons, I have a feeling I know exactly who you're talking about there. He ain't an actual dragon, but he kinda acts like one. You know, might actually be a good idea for you to come with me and talk with Dia. She might want to hear this.
If you say so. But I wasn't, and it seems, I know it's weird, but I wasn't actually there.
You mean you don't remember any of it?
No. And I can't say it any more than it's scary as shit.
Yeah, I could imagine being possessed by a malevolent thing that fully takes you over is very much a scary thing.
I've never passed out as much as Faye smokes. I normally can smoke her to sleep. That's how we end up solving a lot of our arguments. And I never lose myself. And I can't say that I didn't lose what little bit of me there was. I don't know what happened. And that's really, really scary.
It's funny, most people say that after they kill their first person, which you did, by the way, and you seemed perfectly okay with that. That reminds me, I wanted to ask, how are you after that?
I don't know. It makes me feel for my brother. I know that his job is really dangerous, or at least it was really dangerous. And I know that my mother thought that he was getting involved with drugs, or worse, getting involved with the police, with his friend, Elijah. But my dad, my biological father told me that wasn't what was happening. He was involved with what you guys are involved with. He's involved with being like you. And I thought I had a place to view it from. Like, there couldn't be anything that bad that you couldn't share with your family. Let people in, bring a little light to keep it from being. And she just moves her hands up and down your, like, it doesn't have to be that bad, or at least I thought it didn't have to be that bad, and now I'm not sure.
Oh, you sweet summer child. You have only just put one foot down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, and I'm already losing myself. I'm already losing time. How do you do it? How does he do it? According to my biological father, he's responsible for keeping people like you from getting out of hand.
What does that mean?
According what we're told, you all have a police force. And I know ACAB, but you have a police force to keep you all from exercising your freedoms as you see fit, because you have forever, and your idea of freedoms don't often consider what forever is and the mark you leave on the world. And in the course of being the bastard that all police are, he's done an ungodly number of things. That's funny to say, because he's not my dad, but in knowing him for less than 2 days, he's already told me more than my brother ever did.
If 2 days was enough to make you think you're losing yourself, maybe you should ask yourself if that was such a good thing that he was telling you about all this.
I thought so.
I have...
can't say so now. We've killed someone, and there's no police. We're not being arrested. There's no justice. I don't want to go to jail forever, but there needs to be a cost for even that monster deserve the opportunity of living, because you can't learn anything if you're dead. You can't correct your actions. You can't make restitutions if you're not here to do it. And then me, Faye, we took a life, and no muss, no fuss, nothing, just gone. And it's not like we can even go visit him in prison to get closure. Why would he attempt to attack us the way that he did? It's not like there's no sense. There's no logic to it.
Welcome to reality. I've been at this for a very long time. Much longer than you and probably your brother have been. Justice, logic, those are all very much man-made concepts. They don't actually exist. If you took the universe and ground it down into the finest powder, you would not be able to find a single atom of justice or molecule of mercy. It's all up here. And Muzan is tapping his head when he says that. Does that make you uncomfortable realizing that?
No, it doesn't make me uncomfortable. It makes me sad. How could any person go on with that? Like, there's no reason.
Why does there have to be?
You're not making it any better.
You and I aren't very much alike. I'll say that right now. So my logic, you're probably not gonna agree with, but about 10 years ago, I had an epiphany, let's say. Basically, that I had been for about a century, living my life believing in some grand cause, only for the curtain to be pulled back and the rug to be pulled out from me, underneath of me, quite violently. In that moment, I realized how empty all those words said were, how the purpose I thought I had was just a construct. It wasn't real, it didn't exist. All that really existed was myself, was the blood stains that were left of my old friends. Around that time, I realized that the only thing that I had to live for was myself. And it was a liberating thought. The idea of living for myself, being my own person now, not acting for some greater cause, not for some grandiose purpose, just me, myself, and I. It was supposed to be demoralizing, but I found it empowering almost. I don't know how you're going to end up coping with all of this. You're gonna have to figure that part out on your own. But you're gonna have to figure it out. Because if you don't, the alternative is to end up like the guy whose skull you caved in. You're already neck deep in stuff that you really shouldn't be. And frankly, there's no going back.
Did anyone tell you you are a ray of sunshine?
Every fucking day. Now come on, let's get you and your smoker friend to Dia. Pretty sure she's gonna want to hear what you had to say.
And as Muzan gathers the two sisters without blood, having shared many life experiences, and one of the few life experiences that most will never ever be able to move beyond. Taking a life isn't so much difficult. It's really quite easy to do. Humans are frail things. It only takes 5 pounds of pressure to break most bones. Yet the extinguishing of a life, the vanquishing of a soul, is a defining moment in most living individuals' lives. There's a before and then there's an after. And you are always mentally stuck in that before, that moment where things changed, where the world stopped making sense. Speaking of the world stopped making sense, the donors provided by Silk came predominantly pre-trained. There's a buddy system and a tap out, as it were. Small little signs that they are taught to pay attention to. Something that won't break the moment. Something, little small things that help the fantasy remain. That they are 100% willing. The 100% giving game and very, very into whatever kink they are working their way through. Their skill, when viewed unbiasedly and outside of the moment, is a scary thing. It's scary because they are taught in the moment of the greatest pleasure of their lives, the greatest moment that they as living individuals will ever have. Every synapse and neuron in their mind firing in time to every fantasy of pleasure. The chemical cocktail bombarding them, dulling their senses, addicting them to that moment, and yet they are taught, trained to, in that greatest moment of weakness or strength, depending on your viewpoint, to be cognizantly aware of their physical body, all of the signs of blood loss, all of the signs of overwhelming addiction. And they're taught to ask for help. They're taught to communicate on a level that most people could never functionally keep up for any period of time. And as Zach reels and rolls and indulges in the kiss, where is their hunger when they first start?
Max hunger was at 4.
Would you be so kind as to roll 1/3 your humanity and your unspent willpower? Your DC is 4. For the scent, the sight, the taste of all of that lovely flowing blood.
Please let this be my lucky night. Crap on a cracker.
The addiction of the kiss works both ways. It is the practical definition of a double-edged blade. For every slice forward, there's the risk of slicing its wielder. It is a cruel mistress that takes away all semblance of logic and sense. Because much like the humans much like the mortals, much like the victims, because that's what they are, who are privy to the kiss, so too is the kindred. But it's not just the kiss for the kindred. It is all of those pleasure erogenous zones firing in concert with the very greedy lapping beast at the center of them, demanding what lies in the blood. That old aphorism that people hear often when thinking of Dracula and the like, the blood is the life, their lives in the blood, so forth and so on, is very, very true. It is as close to the beast getting what it truly wants, the divestment of every living soul in existence. It is an unending void that wants to draw every bit of life, every bit of soul, every bit of light in the world into itself. And in this moment, as Zach comes to themselves, as Zach finally satiates every need and want with their hunger at 0, they find themselves sticky, their face covered in the blood of these well-trained, invaluable donors. They find themselves finally, without that gnawing void at the back of their mind, they find themselves with a ruined outfit. It's amazing how all the places blood will go. And as they pull back into themselves, standing before the mirror, their face from the nose to chin covered in the lice blood of these two individuals, very polished, handsome, beautiful creatures. Zach once more knows what it is like to destroy something beautiful.
God dang it, Zach. Well, time for Zach to go change again. And clean himself up.
That's the beauty of the suites in the Pisketeers for the discerning members of society who understand all of the various pleasures that the Pisketeers offers. There is room enough and space enough and time enough to shower and apply some actual perfume, some parfums, the essence, the eau de toilette, the actual good stuff, not the watered down alcohol body spray that people consider smell goods these days. These are not the water alcohol based things that people spray all over themselves as if they are trying to drown out the world or burn out the noses of anyone that crosses their path. This is not Axe. This is not any of that. This is it's that highfalutin stuff that smell good to stay with you, to put a dab or a daub. That's what are in the sweets. And there's a sweetness that comes with the moldering of flesh. In the immediate moment of death, the body loses 21 grams. Everybody, every human being, most animals lose that weight instantaneously. Once death is assured and the weight of the human soul or the weight of the soul of the creature exits, the body is immediately lighter. There's an emptiness there that is, no one can actually put their finger on the what of it. They say that it's the human soul, but it could be something else. Maybe it's just the lack of neurons firing, the electricity carries a certain weight, and no one knows specifically or truly, but everyone has a thought on it. One thing that Zach notices is the sweetness of the bodies. There's a odoriferous factor upon death. There's something that changes, and all of that taken blood and all of that life no longer in existence causes the flesh, the meat, to take on a sweetness in that moment that perfumes the air. And even without the beast poking and prodding at the back of Zach's mind, they have no way to do anything more to enjoy and indulge in that small bit of happiness. Moldering meat normally is not something that would make anything or anyone happy. However, in this moment, satiated and pleased beyond every semblance of the word, Zach realizes and takes in those small details. And even though the bodies are growing cold, looking at them lingering there on the bed, tastefully draped with a sheet, the other looking as if they simply drifted off and never woke up. Properly changed, is there anything that Zach is going to do in this moment besides head out to speak with their coterie?
Probably mentally chastise himself for getting carried away.
Normally we'd wait, but would you be so kind as to roll your humanity minus 10?
Wait, humanity mine?
The result of your humanity minus 10. So 10 minus your humanity minus 1.
Okay. So 10 minus 7 minus 1 in my case.
Okay, so you have 2 die. Any success will do. And as Zach looks on the body, moldering there in the bed, tastefully draped, and looking as if something you could take a moment and just sketch out or even write a song about, there's a little voice that says, yes, they knew the job was dangerous when they took it, but did they have a choice? Did you have to divest those lives from ever having a tomorrow? For you, every moment is tonight. You don't get to live during the day. You don't get to know that time even passes. You don't even get to sleep. You literally die when the sun rises. So tomorrow never is a thing for you. It is always tonight. It is always now. You live in a forever opportunity of night. But for them, there are hours and minutes and cups of coffee and conversations and moments to be had and children to sire and lives that will never come into existence. You could have, in this moment, ensured that there would be another generation or two where cancer was devastating. You could have assured that in what you've just done, that the next great revolutionary leader or the next president or the next prime minister or the next diplomat that would put an end to some strife somewhere in the world, or hell, just the next great pastry chef never comes into being. You've ended there forever, and there's no justification for it. You got carried away. The beast slipped its reins, and you knew that was an opportunity, you knew that was a possibility, and yet still here you are. And so as you head out to speak with your coterie, as you exit the suite, pulling your door closed behind you as if there are two lovers still left there. There isn't. There never will be for them ever again. And it's so quiet, even with the music, even with the jazz riffs playing in the background, and even as the Pisketeer is taking on a more lively portion because it is ramping up toward the witching hour and people are getting their last hurrahs, their jollies, and everything else off that they can. And those two will never have those moments ever again. And like magic, some strange magic of synchronicity, fate, many of its friends and associates, family members, you all find yourselves floating around the edge of the bar roughly at the same time as Seth is pulling out a map of Dalton to talk with Dia about the lines that have been crossed and drawn. Luzon is arriving with Faye and Stella. Frost is properly suited and booted. Zach, having gone through another wardrobe change for the evening. And Dancer's sucking his teeth as everyone kind of converges at the same time. Maybe you guys should go back to your clubhouse behind the mirrors.
You're actually correct. I don't want the rest of the club to hear what we are talking about, but Gia kind of like zeroes in on the fact that Muzan has Stella and Faye until, sorry. Just kind of like looks at him like, something you want to tell me?
The girls have something to share with the class.
We really don't. We kind of have no choice in this, and
there's always a choice. I didn't force you to come here. You came.
Okay, well then, yes, I think behind the mirror is our best bet. And then, without waiting for anybody, she heads towards the secret hideout.
one of the best things that you've done for your own safety and sanity as a coterie of kindred, operating so closely with the mortals on the night to night basis, is the little bankhead behind the two-way mirrors that you all have installed. You all don't need that much light. You all don't have many things going on that would cause bright flashes of anything. So it is almost perfectly secure and out of sight while being able to watch over the actual happenstances that take place in the Biscuiteers. The subtle ebb and flow of things, where parties are getting nearly out of hand, you're able to step in, where the bartenders get overwhelmed, any of those things you're able to see without being seen. You're able to get there relatively quickly because of the entrances and exits that are possible. However, it still provides you all with a privacy that is literally like sitting gods on Mount Olympus, able to see any and every life you so choose without ever being seen yourself. So settling in at the bankhead with Faye and Stella, strangely enough, following a protocol that they've probably read in some book or seen or some movie, they're sitting with their back not against the mirror but against the far wall so that they have a view of everyone who's gathered.
What have you got for us?
Well, Stella's been possessed by Nicole. That's not what we said. Okay, so, Faye saw me lose myself and disassociate, and she's taking what was said in that moment of weakness as fact. Muzan said that the ghosts don't exist. He's never seen one, so I don't think that it's an actual ghost, and it was just a fluke that the name Nicole and Concordia came up. I don't know, maybe I overheard a conversation, or maybe, I remember something. I don't know. But, well, Faye, okay, look. So Stella's eyes went all wonky. They went like black and disappeared, and she was talking to Nicole, whoever Nicole is, and whatever, and she was talking about dragons and zombies, and nothing is ever what it seems. There's always a dragon's horde, and her is someone you need or something. And she was talking about Concordia. Everything else kind of gobbled together because they were talking. I don't speak that nerd shit like dragons and dungeons and path, and I don't do that.
Seth looks at Dia. As soon as the name Concordia comes up, and gives her the space to interrogate, but he also pulls out his own little notebook, because he plans on taking all of this shit down.
Oh, tell him about the part where you ate a whole shitload of food.
Really? You're gonna try to fat shame me?
Really? That's a very important detail, trust me.
I was real hungry, and after disassociating, and so I ate more than I should, and Muzan won't let me live it down. Neither will Faye. Dude, you ate enough for like 7 people, even more than I do, and I get the munchies all the damn time. Okay, so I binged a little. No.
You didn't binge. Hold on. You didn't binge. You replenished. From what you're telling me, your body consumed a bunch of energy all at once, and it needed to be replenished. Just tell us the story that all of that brought to you as it deals with this person, Concordia.
Okay, so I don't really want to talk about that, but I will, because I don't really have a choice. Look.
You don't have a choice. Spill it. Or I will find ways to make you spill it.
Sheesh. I thought I was the mean one.
If you're the dastardly one, I'm the mean one. Let's hear it, girl. Give us a story of what your feeding frenzy gave up.
So, what I remember this grandma Nicole, because that's what she looked like to me. She looked like an old Italian grandma with really tan skin, but she clearly wasn't my grandma. She was telling a story about how to bring down a dragon. You can never destroy a dragon, but you can chain it to its hoard. And as long as you chain it to its hoard, you won't have to fight it. And the way to chain it to its hoard, according to her, was by not trusting the zombies. The zombies will betray you because heartache only goes so far. So be prepared and planned. I don't know. It was a lot, and I don't actually remember most of it. I'm sorry, but I want to help. I really do, but I don't know if
I need you to think about what chains the dragon to the horde. Don't worry about anything else. Any of the other imagery, any of the other facets of what you heard or saw. I need you to concentrate on just one fact. The dragon and his horde.
something about wolves, something about outlanders. I don't know what that means. I thought it was like maybe another book reference, like dragons, like small, but I don't know. And I can only, I'm sorry. I would tell you more if I could, but I wasn't actually even there. This is what I can remember. And you ever had a headache? You ever have a headache that's so bad that it makes every other joint in your body hurt? That's every time I try to find some detail or that's what it feels like. Girl, you just need to smoke more. Look, she was talking about a dragon and zombies and how to use the dragons to counter the zombie betraying you. And the dragon cares about the wolves. And so as long as the wolves are controlled by the dragon, you can control the dragon with the wolves, the outlanders. And I don't like the nerd shit, Stella. That's your thing. So making me be the one to remember is stupid. You guys don't mind if I smoke back here, do you?
No, definitely here. And Seth pulls out his electric lighter, his plasma lighter, and lights the cigarette so they can focus.
You think it's a cigarette? How naive.
It's a cigarette lighter. What they do with it after that is their own choice.
Zach, you have been in the club with some of the most classically rock-like style individuals that you have ever known to exist. And there's good weed, and then there's whatever it is that these girls are smoking. It is sweet and with a hint of pepper. It smells as if you're standing in the middle of a rainforest. There's a certain misty dewiness that begins to cloy at the corners of the senses. And even though you all no longer can be affected directly, there is still the voices of someone's ancestors whispering as this smoke begins to waft and drift through the space around you.
Zach kind of grins at the smells and looks over. How many more of those do you have?
I heard old man got us like 10 pounds of the stuff, and they're in a backpack. We're gonna probably need more soon because hell, Stella's been smoking more lately too. But you want to take a hit? And Faye offers the glowing hot drift away.
Zach smiles and generous and accepts and takes a single puff before handing it back. Fuck, I needed that after this night. And while you two are involved, I did promise you a little story, but that can wait until after this matter is resolved. Unless you two are dismissed, that is. And he looks over to the rest of the coterie.
Bryce looks at Dia.
Dia, from the moment Nicole's name was mentioned, went very, very still. You would almost think that they were a statue, legitimately. And their eyes never left Stella. And then once Stella kind of stopped talking, it's like a bird settling their feathers, and they shiver and they're back into themselves and moving. First, goes on, well, quite wise, does not know what the fuck they're talking about. There are spirits, yes. There are things beyond this realm. It's why we exist. It's why other things exist and other things happen. So, when you say you were contacted or taken over by a spirit, I believe very much that that's what it is. Concordia is me. It is my full name. I was known, the only one I allowed to call me Concordia, besides Geneva at times, was Nicole, my maker. She, unfortunately, while I was out on some mission for her, met a very horrible fate. And I didn't make it home in time to help. It seems that even though she is gone, she is still attempting to help me from the other side. The zombie, well, what Nicole means is I was at a meeting early this evening and I made somewhat of a deal with somebody, and now I'm seeing that I'm being warned to not be foolish with this deal that I have made and be prepared to be betrayed. Which, again, I am not stupid, so I assume that was an possibility, basically. I'd hope not, but apparently it is. So we will come to that bridge when we cross it. And As far as the dragon goes, I know very well who that is. We all know who that is. As far as tying him to his hoard, I will need to think on that more. The wolves... Yes, I think I understand what that means as well. Again, I might need to think on it a bit to quite put it together, but I understand. What I'm not quite getting is the fact there was a key or some manner of way to the wolves. I heard that part. Locking him to his hoard, and there's something that makes a difference? Something he values that makes a difference. That's what I understood when you first came out and were into halfway speaking. Am I correct?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
It isn't meant to make sense to you, darling. Cole was speaking to me through you. That is the other thing that makes me quite curious as to how exactly you speak to spirits. It is a nifty little trick.
Oh my god, it was so fucking Faye, shut up. Look, it was so fucking weird. We were sitting there, and then her eye, like, have you seen like the old school zombie movies? Like the eyes don't exist, like they rot out and turn black, and they just disappear. Like her whole. Would you?
Oi, focus.
It was fucking freaky and cool, and I don't know what it was, but oh my god, like it was like all, like everything, like the whole eye just black, nothing.
Tia very carefully reaches across to Faye and presses one well-manicured finger against her lips. Shh. Please. Thank you. Now, the next question I have for you is, at any point during your stay with Mama Cass, did you drink anything that tasted strange? Did they offer you anything that seemed a little thicker than it should be? A drink.
Yeah, me and my biological father shared a glass of wine. It was some sweet dessert wine. It tasted like melon.
Was it red?
Yeah, he said he only drinks red wines.
I look very pointedly at Seth. How often did that happen?
Just once. I'm not really a wine drinker. I don't mind a little rum, but wine, it's just too sweet, especially his. You think some like, sorry, it's bad, but when I first thought of him as like a young Godfather, like that Italian criminal element, like it was all over him. It looked like something out of a bad movie, and so you wouldn't think that he would drink something so sweet. It was really, really sweet, but it tasted really, really good. It's just really heavy too.
Faye, have you drinking
the note and catalogs it away and tries to parse it in his own mind?
Faye, did you have this drink too, or were you not invited?
No, it was a daddy-daughter thing. Plus, I don't like wine. Only gay girls drink wine.
Only what now?
Only gay girls drink wine. You know, wine, mimosas, that whole Sex in the City thing. You know they were all gay, right?
Dia just, what? Like the face? Like somebody smacked her? Like,
Think about it. They all, at one point or another, were so trying to prove their libido in their senior age. Like they were the same age as the Golden Girls when the show started. Yeah, they're all, doing all these young hot guys, old hot guys, and trying to make sure that they reclaim their youth. Come on. You think they never experimented, and that's not the reason why they stayed friends for as long as they did? Come on. Like, seriously? We know Samantha was going to do anything and everything, and then Miranda, what she did in real life, and that bled into the character, and just look at them. None of them were attractive enough to actually be that wild and vivacious. Of course, they had something to prove to themselves. The whole self-loathing that comes with not being out of the closet, not being honest with yourself, so they were clearly trying to mask it. Why do you think none of the relationships with men ever lasted? Faye, you're projecting.
Clearly, at Faye, I'm just like, darling.
Seth nearly dislocates his spine eye rolling at this set of statements.
You're projecting.
And Zach looks over at Faye and says, now would be a good time for you to get a filter.
You guys never thought about it? Think about it. Sex in the City and the Golden Girls. You know why they stayed friends as long as they did.
Morzan is going to put his hand over Faye's mouth. That's enough out of you.
You've given me quite a lot to think about this evening. None of which I actually wanted to think about, but fine. I think you two are in clear to go back to your room if you wish.
One quick question now that I thought about it. You were talking about your brother earlier, right?
Yeah.
You said he was part of the police force?
Yeah,
Hounds.
yes, that's the word. Hounds. My biological father said that's the, like, you guys' version of the police force, like, combination door kicker and terrorist.
Yeah, sounds about right. And who specifically among them? Because there's a handful of them. I'm not sure who it could be. Do you have a name?
My brother's name is Lucio.
Has Gia heard that name be in Chicago?
The last time Lucio Darcy came to Dalton, the Queen of Spades was destroyed. The last time Lucio Darcy was connected with anyone was purportedly the only kindred that staked Senator Blakeney. The only time Lucio Darcy's name was mentioned was in connection with the shelter, the crew of hounds that have assassinated at least 4 elders. As far as this word on the street is concerned, they're the reason why Erzuli has to hide out in the south suburbs.
That's your brother. Oh my. His reputation precedes him quite a lot, actually. It's not all good, honestly. lot of destruction. A lot of death, unfortunately. 4 elders.
Ah, so you weren't exaggerating about your brother being a killer.
It's not just him, it's the people he works with, or it's the coterie. They call them the shelter. Don't know why they call them that, but apparently they have...
Maybe because whenever they come into town, everyone needs to find some shelter.
They sound like a tower hit squad.
Isn't that what hounds are?
Usually it's the scourges that do this kind of work, but if the hounds are being set to this purpose, the prince is taking a direct interest.
It's like dogs.
Of course you would think that, Frost.
I don't
Of
think
course
they're
you
actually wolves at all. This... Sometimes hounds can be wolves. Actually, you've met former hounds. The motorcycle group of those guys. Yes.
You mean the ones that killed Frost?
Yes. That group used to be quite tight with the prince and were considered hounds. I don't know if they still are, but this is not the same group. There are many hounds, especially with a city as large as Chicago.
Coming down to Dalton, we have other problems on top of Decibel. The hounds are trained to investigate more so than the scourges. They're not unskilled in finding problems. And if Chicago's taking an interest in Dalton, they'd send the hounds.
Thing is, hounds are given permission most often enough to act on the prince's stead if he is not directly in the same location. So if the hounds find something lacking or wrong, they may act and face near no consequences behind it. That's the scary part of it.
And as opposed to scourges, which were the meat and potatoes of clearing an area, hounds actually dig down and find the root of a problem and dig it out and kill it. So if there are hounds coming to Dalton as opposed to scourges, they're going to be better at their job.
So we find them first?
We do not wish to take them on, no. We have our own issues enough with Decibel. Maybe, if we play our cards right, we can aim the hounds at Decibel. Though Nicole did say, based on what you said, Stella, not to fight him, but to chain him to his horde so he could not act. Because I guess to fight him we would lose, and which is what I assumed in the first place anyway. So, I guess we again need to focus on how to chain him to his horde. Figure out which thing is his horde.
We figure out what his horde is, chain him to it, and then point the hounds at the horde. and the two problems may solve each other.
What was it that Nicole said about the wolves? Just want to make sure we're getting that clear.
The wolves are his horde. Like he's, I don't know, like a collector of wolves or something like that. She said outlanders or wolves.
Oh no, wait. You don't think that means that the hounds are coming at Decibel's aid?
If Decibel's found some way to tap into the tower's hounds in Chicago, we might be looking at a bigger problem. But remember at the meeting before, Decibel had a second dragon with him, but he also had a gangrel. Those might be the wolves that Nicole is talking about.
Yes. That it also could be very true, as seeing as how Severino is tied quite tightly to that one that he has as his bodyguard. That tall lady.
I was thinking more along the lines of the one that came in with the red-headed human, the red-headed kind during
That's what I mean. Her name
during
is
the trial.
now.
If Decibel's bringing in shapeshifters into his own power base, it would be dragons and gangrels that he's looking for. If we can convince the Hounds of the Tower that he poses a real threat to the Prince of Chicago, maybe that's a bow that ties itself.
Perhaps, but I don't want to put all of our eggs in that particular basket. We need to have a plan A, a B, and a C.
And a D.
Absolutely.
Did Frost just ask for the D?
Say again?
Did Frost just ask for the D?
Seth at this point is going back to his tower roots and shit, hold on. My earpiece just went across the fucking room. Seth looks at Dia and says, "What is your plan? What is your focus? Once you make a decision, we can make a real plan around that decision." I say, my advice is take the barons we have some affiliation with, the north of Dalton, press down on Decibel, and if this vision incurs the wrath of the tower in a direction we can control, add that to our efforts.
that sounds good, but at the same time, again, we were supposed to be attempting to not directly have to fight Decibel. I still think we should turn to our allies, but we should also expect that at least one of our allies will later turn on us and be prepared for that.
Well, if one of our allies is the tower, they will turn on us. I can tell you that for an absolute certainty. The tower will want to incorporate Dalton back into the fold. But Decibel has a power base and the ear of Carbonera. Do we want to risk not making any moves? I mean, we could talk about it all day, but we risk being stymied in a forever loop of making plans without ever affecting any of them.
I think what you're assuming, Decibel having the ear of a lovely guest, is actually not him having the ear of our lovely guest. It's just the way things shook out, and he does believe Decibel will attempt to kill him. Several times he's mentioned this to me, so I don't think they're quite as chummy as you believe.
Plus, there have been a number of times when he has been willing to assist simply because I ask. So the question then becomes, who really has his favor?
We still have months to go on the year and a day that he promised us. Can we leverage that on top of our other efforts?
I think we should take every tool we can in this, and while I was not pleased at having to house and tolerate him at first, I'm not going to say he's growing on me, I'm going to say that he's become useful. I would be foolish not to use what has become useful.
You're talking about Dancer and the Warrens?
Alabalasha is who I mean. But again, now that we have somewhat of a loose plan, ladies, if you would like to leave, Zach, if you are going to speak with them, please do not stay long, as we need to discuss some other things, I think.
Right.
I think there are things you haven't told me yet about what happened last night, or earlier this evening.
And with that, he reaches one arm around Faye and one arm around Stella, but doesn't quite touch either of them. And he looks towards the door.
So Zach exits stage left even, and while Zach exits, it is exactly 11 after the hour. Let's take a quick 10 here and be back at 21 after the hour.
Rude.
Quiet Frost.
What?
So a queen bed rapidly becomes a single.
You know, you being single is no one's concern.
Not a surprise from. But yeah,
Your area.
All right. So, all jest aside, with our few prompts for the small bit of time, as everyone takes in their details, is everyone back?
Isn't
Well, I mean, I'm here. I'm just not sure if I'm back.
Seth is back.
I'm here.
All right. Welcome.
I'm back.
Welcome.
Hello, Bax. How are you guys?
Funny with so many people having the same name. All right. Zach, are you with us?
said present.
All right. So as Zach throws their arms around the Stella and the Fae and making their way out of the space, and a growl of some large predatory beast echoes through the room as they slip just outside the door. Those present realize that that predatory beast is in fact Muzan, and Muzan does...
Muzan is going to... I think in this situation he's going to try and follow Zach.
Where are you going?
I don't like being left out.
We aren't leaving you out. We are having a conversation about how best to chain the dragon to his hoard. Zach is going to tell the girl's story, apparently, and then return himself here. Why do you need to follow? And what was that sound?
None of your fucking business.
Excuse you?
And Muzan just turns and leaves.
The Baron just said it's none of your business, and we need you here. You need to focus.
I will not be talked to as such in my establishment. And for the first time in a long time, anger starts creeping across Dia's face. And even though she has beautiful, she also has dread gaze. So the combination is very much Gladriel when she gets pissed.
Yes, we've seen this before.
So are you saying that you're going to be using Daunt?
Oh, yeah, she's going to get in front of Muzan, like directly in their way, and stare them down with Daunt and Dread Gaze.
things being what they are, to be so kind as to go ahead and roll that for me, please.
So if Dia's seriously about to square up, Muzan is going to respond in kind. He's going to be glaring at Dia with Eyes of the Beast active, and he's also going to throw up his own daunt.
Well, now.
Across his
There is
bullshit
a
showing up.
absolutely primal fury now in Muzan's gaze. Like a alpha predator being challenged for its position.
Okay, can I try and settle things?
And how would you try to do so?
Get in the middle of both of them because both of them aren't mad at me.
Shit. What would I be rolling, if anything?
You would be rolling your... You're not lying, you're actually feeling it. So charisma plus your intimidation with your bonus of +1 from Eyes of the Beast. Oh wait, that didn't work on Kindred, so just a very cool effect to frighten the young girls and your presence. And the same roll would apply for Dia. Your charisma plus intimidation plus your presence. And the highest wins. Not, I'm sure that anyone will be winning in this particular moment, but you know.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
If Muzan was a gangrel, he'd have his tail between his legs.
Oh, well now. There is no way to not beat this horse well past its already death point. In the moment, with the unfurling of their supernal energies, their auras flaring like bright stars in a night sky, there is a animalistic whimpering, because in this moment there is no doubt in Muzan's mind that in this moment the bonds that are keeping them all safe, the bonds of this fragile little family, are being stretched to their fullest point. And a portion of him, the most animalistic portion of him, understands that for the safety, security, and sanity of the pack, that he must play the role of the Omega in this particular moment to keep Zach safe and whole. Someone must be the Omega to Dia's Alpha. And while it is a psychological aspect that only happens in captivity, that thread, those bonds of memory, those traits are still present even here in the wild. To keep the pack safe, someone must be the Omega to the Alpha. And doing what is necessary comes far more natural to Muzan than to anything else he's ever done. And a rat-like whimper escapes as he growls under his breath, and it gets lower and resounds in his chest. And Frost is suddenly there, standing between him and the Alpha. Like all good packs, they respond to the tension in the air, tails up, ears twitching, and there he is, licking at the mouth, nipping to try to back down the tension in the situation.
Hey, let's all calm down here, guys. No need getting all riled up over nothing. If they're close enough, he puts out a hand on both of their shoulders.
Resting your hand against Muzan is like completing a circuit. The feeling of loss, rejection, and the need of welcome is so palpable that for the first time since knowing that he would never see his daughter again, tears begin to slightly well up in the eyes of Frost. Just a small moisture building up at the corners of his eye, unshed, unfallen, but still there all the same. And as he attempts to reach out to touch and comfort Dia, to back her off the ledge, the precipice of which she's standing, there is no way to do so. In this moment, Dia is the alpha. There's a need to appease her, but touching her would probably be your end. And the anger wafting off of her is like an invisible shield. So your hand wavers there between you and her before falling back to your side. And not for the first time, and potentially not for the last time, each of you feel what it's like to be judged by your God. Each of you feel what it is like to have, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed, fall over you. And you all know that in your separations, in your asides, in your pulling against the pack, that you have disappointed not just the pack as a whole, but yourselves. And if not for the scream of Stella and Faye as the gunshots go off in the bar, you all would be here in this moment, potentially forever.
Hey, wait, gunshots?
Are we going to explain the gunshots?
Only one person asked.
Seth immediately reacts to the gunshots. He's ignoring the standoff. As
I'm going right for the door.
as bullets are more important than, or more a pressing danger to Dia than Muzan's momentary mutiny. So he's going to go for the door and his own gun and head out.
And Zach's with Stella, if I'm understanding correctly.
So, as everyone, as people do what comes natural, which is run towards the noise, or move towards the danger, which is a very cop, first responder mentality. In order of location from the bar to where you are, starting with the bar at 0. At 1 would be Zach, Stella, and Faye. At 2 would be Dia. At 3 would be Frost. At 4 would be Muzan. And at 5 would be Seth. So as the gunshots go off in the bar and Faye and Sella scream in response to such a loud noise in such an enclosed space. As the patrons in the bar respond as only those accustomed to a certain amount of violence do, by dropping low, by attempting to reach for their own weaponry, and the cries of the staff pointing towards the area of the danger or where the noise came from. And there's a hoopla as the crowd disperses some, as people look for places to hide, to put things between them and where that noise came from, because this is not that sort of establishment. Gunshots don't happen here, even though yes they have on multiple occasions, but that wariness, that understanding of immediate distance or at least immediate defense speaks volumes. Attempting to move past Dia is attempting to dive into the sun. In this moment, they are in fact master of all things. Daunt is not something that is specifically a scalpel or laser-like focus. It is an aura, an air, a wall of get the fuck away. Those of you attempting to, instead of mount an affirmative offense via defense, we need to roll your resolve, composure, and get more successes than Dia, unless Dia decides to do something else.
Seeing Muzan kind of back off, even though he didn't apologize or verbally tap, the sound is obviously unavoidable and unignorable, so she is going to not completely fold it all back in, but just kind of turn and let kind of give Muzan her back. Like, you're no longer the fucking issue, so you no longer warrant my attention.
Seth's celerity, he's moving at full speed. Does that affect what dice I roll?
For your composure resolve? No.
Okay. So, okay. Let me just roll that shit up then. Seth isn't talking. He's only reacting. Taking advantage of his inherent skills and training. Is there a DC, or is it just roll as high as you can?
The DC would have been Dia's 8 successes.
Holy sweet Jesus, seriously?
It would have been, but she's not actively holding that aura anymore. It's more of a, okay, what was that? And turning around, like, you guys are no longer focus my attention. She's still pissed, but it's not the active.
It's resolving composure, right?
Yes. So is Dia dropping Daunt, or?
Yeah, she's gonna drop Daunt.
Okay.
Muzan, during that whole encounter, kind of shrunk back, started looking away from Dia, and he deactivated his Daunt as well in response. He kind of catches himself rubbing his hands together.
I tried to max out my my bonuses, but it's re-rolled the wrong fucking dice for it. So I don't know. But whatever. That's my roll.
And moving towards.
And burned.
I got you. I got your willpower. In moving towards the danger, and looking towards the danger, looking through the mirror, looking down the steps, the small few steps inside the stairwell towards the bar, you all realize When one party shuts down, the next party becomes more viable and more available. And it is clear that in your exit, you've allowed those ne'er-do-wells, those foolish mortals who were in places they probably shouldn't have been, to find ways to avoid the attention of the police at the Rosie, which is literally across the reservoir. The tunnels which lead underneath, which had been co-opted so that you all can move between the two bars, the two places of safety at your leisure, in their desperation to flee, to not be frisked or stopped or investigated or interrogated by the police and the fire department and all of those other people that show up in tragic, graphic moments that took place. They found at least one of those tunnels, heading downstairs into the basement and then finding the stairs down into the basement. Oh my God, what is this go? Is lit. And a few of those ne'er-do-wells, those problem children who didn't have enough excitement and surges of adrenaline because of the horror that you all unleashed in the Rosie, found their way into a party in which they did not belong. The staff, doing what the staff does, of course, try to quietly and tactfully remove those presences. You can tell by the way that they dress that they don't belong here. You can tell by the way that they speak they don't belong here. And there's nothing more dangerous than someone who finds a place where they don't belong and feel they have nothing to lose and everything to prove. Dressed as if they are a 90s hip-hop boy band, the gang of women, bandanas and baggy jeans and pelly pale jackets that are antiques at this point, brandishing their firearms, sagging and otherwise looking very much the part. In their attempt to keep it real, have managed to keep it very fucking dumb. Wrestling for the firearm which the roving security of the Pisketeers found, they did not utilize gun safety. They did not keep their finger off the trigger until they were ready to shoot. They did not realize nor care the result of what may have happened because they had something to prove with nothing to lose. You can't keep us out of anywhere. This is fucking America. And if there's a cover chart, and the moment was culminated with the 9mm going off, firing a hole into the roof. And soundproofing is one thing, but bulletproofing is quite another. And as the bullet lodges itself in the roof, the ceiling of the actual Pisketeers, in the floor of the expected and understood Pisketeers, the situation gets untenable because in for a penny, in for a pound, and the other four decide to help their would-be leader fight their way in, to keep from being escorted out, to keep from being othered. And several truths make themselves known. In your adventures in the Rosie, in your moment of letting slip the mask, these people are hyped up, hopped up on the fear that comes face to face with knowing that monsters exist, in the fear of being other themselves, and in that chaos, in that maelstrom of their psychological, emotional, and social issues happening all at once, there is one answer, one way forward, and that's with violence. So as the shots are going off and the fight is being joined, what is it that everyone is doing?
Well, since Zach's still with Faye and Stella, and they're near the bar, I'm understanding, he's gonna try to get the three of them behind the bar and underneath it for cover. Basically, he's trying to keep the two of them safe.
Seth is looking for the shooter and drawing a bead. As soon as he identifies the shooter, he's going to put a bullet in him.
Muzan is going to throw up Unseen Passage to try and also find the shooter, with the intention of dragging them into a nice, quiet, unseen corner and relieving them of their blood.
Well, normally, I would think Dia would duck and try to get a line of fire. But she's already angry. She's already had a fire and subordination threats. She's had enough and is going to use that supernatural speed and take somebody off their feet. She knows she doesn't have to hit humans all that hard to put them on their ass.
And Frost?
Frost is gonna stay in the room for a second, the private room, and turn into, you know.
Okay.
Into Wolfgang. I now have 3 hunger.
Okay.
I'm gonna rouse roll to add her anger to her strength.
Unit channel point off. Left channel point off.
Alright, so we're just waiting on Seth's roll.
Am I rolling for identifying a target or just shooting a target?
Your composure plus firearms.
Yay.
All right. So, in the chaos, or as those of us still living like to say, in the moment of now, everything happening nearly at once. It is over before it begins. The 5 women who form their own gang, who have their own moment, who have their own infamy and are legends in their own mind, while physically accosting the security, while fighting their way in to prove just how dangerous they were and how not afraid of what they witnessed in the Rosie, are bowled over by Dia suddenly appearing in their midst as the security officer, the guard, is wrestling with the leader with the firearm, as the firearm goes flying from their hands as they cease to be. There is no other way to quite grasp how quickly and loud a firearm is. Except for 1 second they were there as Dia dropped their second in command, their lieutenant, their road dog, their person who had their back no matter what, and Dia drops them, suddenly appearing in their midst. The leader with the gun is taken off her feet and ceases to be, all in one fell swoop, as Muzan, like the shadow of death that he is, removes another member of the party into the darkness. While growls of annoyance and tearing of muscle and flesh happen inside of the coterie's bankhead, Zach, using far more physical skill and alacrity than most would ever assume, manages to, much like the Secret Service protecting the president, pull, force, and otherwise bodily protect Faye and Stella. As tables are overturned, drinks are spilled, servers are doing their best to calm their patrons and get them as far away from the danger as possible. It is over. 2 gunshots resounding. And not for the first time. And at present rate, not for the last. The coterie has a body to deal with. There's a wall of spray that happens. Each danger brings its own reward. But in this, they literally brought a knife to a gunfight. They literally have tossed away what remains of their life. They literally are no longer a factor in any other thing save if they found the tunnel, if they found this tunnel, if they found this tunnel, then what would the police officers do during their investigation? If they found this access between the Rosie and the Pisketeers, knowing that there's an investigation and a cordoning off of the Rosie right now, what will be happening with the sound of gunfire, considering that while the floorboards and the walls of the Pisketeers have been soundproofed, the tunnels have not. There was never a need for them to be. For those of you who had the opportunity of spending time at the Rosie and causing such a ruckus and an uproar, that truth sits there, just like the body of the woman bleeding into nothingness before you all. And at 57 after the hour, I'd like to thank you all for a lovely session. And I look forward to seeing what your responses will be in post. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Nighty night.